almost nearly impossible to do this job without this tool. That's our guy. That's our failed guy. Welcome out to the shop. My name is Mark, and today we're working on my wife's 2008 Mercedes GL320 CDI. This is a V6 turbo diesel with the OM642 engine. Problem that we have now is there's a little bit of a smoke smell coming into the engine, and I have discovered what is commonly referred to as black death. So let me take you in there and show you what we're looking at, and then we're going to try and get it solved. I had to deal with this once before on this car. So I have removed most of the baffling and things around the injectors. Right in here we're going to see what's causing that smell. Normally on these cars you'll have a lot of plastic baffling and a cover over this. I have it all removed so that I can check and find these when it's early on and when it starts to begin to happen. You can see down in this fuel injector, you can see all the black and sooty buildup around there. You really shouldn't see that. They should stay nice and clean like that. And what that tells me is that injector seat has gone bad. So I have dealt with this before. I have all the parts to do it. We're going to replace these little O-rings on the fuel pressure return line. We're going to replace the hold down bolt, and we are going to replace the injector seat. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a lot of this stuff out of the way. I'm going to get rid of the air box and the T thing here so that I can get at this injector and take the fuel line off. Alright, we got the air box out. One of the things you can notice, you see how this looks all like shiny, but it's not wet. It's like this sticky, like gooey mixture. So we have that off, and you can kind of see down in here, and I'll scrape it up, and it kind of chips off. It's like a varnish or something. It's like an ash, and it's not sticky where you can kind of touch it and it comes off. So it creates it's like a soot almost. There you go. I got a little piece of it on there now. You can see it's kind of a... Anyway, that builds up around the injector and causes it to be stuck in the hole. So we have to get the retainer bolt out. We have to take the injection line off, the high pressure line, and we have to take this clip off, and that'll free up this space a little bit, and then we're going to try and get that injector out. Okay, for this fuel rail return line, these little clips are kind of important. So what you want to make sure to do is you want to make sure to pull this retainer clip straight up before you try to pull it off of the return line. So this little spinny clip here that you can see right there, that just clips up. So you kind of get fingers on it like this, and then pull up. And once it clips up, it'll free up that to come off the injector. So back here you can see it's like this. You can see how I don't know if you can you see that? Can you see the spinny thing here? That we would pull up towards the top, and then it'll free it up. Don't try to pull it off the injector until you got that retainer clip freed. Sometimes I've used little pliers like this to help me free it up a little bit, but it's just it feels like you're gonna break it, but as long as you're careful you won't break it. You just kind of get it, kind of turn it and pull. There you go, see that? And then that'll just come right off the injector, so you can get this up and out of your way. For the fuel injector signal line right here, you pop this little clip open like that, and then that is like a retainer clip, so you can push it down, and then I like to just kind of pry at it a little bit with my fork or my screwdriver, and then that guy injector is pretty well free to take the high pressure line off. This is a fuel line socket that I got from idparts.com, and it is impossible to do this job without this tool. So we really want to make sure that we get this guy and then use that, because I could not find any other way to get that fuel line off. I pulled the whole return line out of the way. The next thing I've got to do is I've got to pull this retainer bolt out. Now the injector is free to come out, but it is pretty well glued in there by this stuff you can kind of see. So what I've got to do now, and this is why they call it Black Death, because some of these engines, when it gets glued in there, it is not coming out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of spray on it, some carb spray and some cleaner to try to break up this goo a little bit, and then we're going to put a slide hammer, custom made slide hammer that I made to get these out. So we'll see if it works. This is a lug nut with a different threaded nut slitted on the top, so I can get a standard bolt threaded in there. Now you could probably get a longer all thread or something like that, but this one is threaded to the injector, and then this one is threaded to a common bolt that I have around the shop. So I can put this in there like that, and I can thread this onto the injector like that. Tighten that just kind of not tight, but just down onto it, and then I can put this in here like this, and then I can put this in there like that, and then I can thread this onto there like that, and then rinse and repeat until it removes itself. There you have it. That's a mess. Uh-oh. The seat didn't come out. Ugh. So we can see where the seal was broken and it was pushing out. So now we got to get that copper seal out of there and then clean up the seat. This is a wire brush and an extension that came in the injector cleaner kit. So I'm going to use that to get it down in there and kind of twist this end into there and pull the that injector seat out. Okay. Right, we got it. So that's our guy. That's our failed guy. So we got to clean it up. We'll probably use a combination of this one and the other one over there, and then start putting it back together. So this is a cheapo fuel injector cleaner kit I got off of Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. It kind of does the job, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I get by with it. I like the fact that it has these holes, these gap things that will slide down in the hole. So if I have to really clean that out, I can put these down in where the tip goes, because they're about the right size to cover this tip of the injector, and it'll prevent anything from going into the combustion cylinder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these guys and I'll place it down in the hole, and then I'm going to use these to clean the hole, and then I'll retrieve it again with the rod. This is a somewhat abrasive tip that we can slide down in there and clean the hole. There's two different sizes. I think this one doesn't quite fit down. I think maybe, is this the right one? I put a little bit of white lithium grease on the end there. Ideally, I'm thinking that will help keep any shavings or metal bits out of the down there. Put it on here. Slide it down in that hole. It'll fit. Don't do this. This was a mistake. As you'll see later in the video, we almost hydrolocked this engine. Thankfully didn't do damage, but I didn't have the hole clogged up or plugged, so this allowed fluid into the cylinder. I don't know how to describe it, but it's almost like sandpaper gum. I mean like, or yeah, I don't know. It's like crispy, but sticky, but gooey, but abrasive. And it's in chunks. Like, try not to get it to go down the hole. It's in chunks, so you can see how if this is left in there unchecked, that is like straight up soot, creosote from like a fireplace. But if it's left in there unchecked, it will just create a cocoon around that injector and continue to make it harder and harder to get the injector out to repair the problem. And that's why they call it Black Death. It's usually a solvable condition, especially in these engines, but in the older style engines, they would get cemented in there so tight you could not get them out. Or so I've heard. But these, so far, knock on wood, I have not had one go bad enough for me that I couldn't get it solved. Now, I'm just cleaning this up the best that I can so that I can be able to tell when I put the new injector in. I want it to be really clean around there so that I can tell if it's happening again, because if it happens again, I want to address it right away so that, well, again, so that I can make sure that this doesn't build up around it. But also, I can drive it a little bit and then retorque the injector after a while to make sure that it's not a hold down bolt issue. So that's what we're doing. This is going to take a while, so I'll bring you back when it's close to dirty, when it's close to clean. Okay, so that should be pretty visible to you. It is. A nice clean injector seat. Can't see past. Oh. Oh, there's the cylinder. It's kind of hard to see. But that's what we got down in there. And it looks okay. But that's what we're worried about here for today. That is a clean hole and a nice clean seat. So we can put our injector back in. Okay, well, before we put the injector in, we want to clean it up. So here's all this container, and then we go ahead with some carb cleaner. Seems to do a pretty good job of loosening that stuff up. And then we can just grab a rag. There's a rag right here. And just kind of wipe it all down. You don't want that on the plastics on that lens. No sirree, Bob. Hold up. y'all are gonna have to back off a little bit because this camera's kind of... Sorry. After these messages, we'll be right back. Okay, it's pretty well cleaned. I have the hold down freed up so that it's nice and smooth on there. The tip is okay, and it's ready to go back in. I'm going to get the piece for the top. Okay, got these from ID Parts as well. This is the replacement washer. We're going to slide that on there and then slide it in there. So here we go. That's how easy it should come out and go in. And there we go. They also recommend that you replace the hold down bolt because it's allegedly a torque to yield. Because you torque it and then you go a quarter turn, which stretches the bolt allegedly. But anyway, I do as they recommend, even though I don't necessarily subscribe to the utmost importance of that concept, but here we go. Got that in there now. I'm going to tighten it down to 8 Newton meters. I don't know what that is in freedom units. And then you turn it 180. Well, you do 290s, I guess is what they tell you. So you start here and then go 90 degrees. Start here. Uh, 90 degrees. These plastic clips are a giant pain, and I think I'm just kind of wussing out because I don't want to break it. Because if I break it, that means I've got to wait till the Mercedes Benz dealership opens up on Monday to get new parts, and my wife needs to leave on Monday to go somewhere a long, long ways away, and it's currently Saturday night. Did not plan this one very well. But it came off without breaking, so now I just got to get them back on without breaking. But I don't know how to do that. There we go. Okay, I slid a little bit of dielectric grease all around these fittings here. So right around this little coupler thing. It made it so much easier. Now it just clicks on there perfectly, and then the plastic piece just slides right down. Well, this plastic piece didn't want to slide down. Hold on, we gotta clean this gap. There we go. Clean that, get some grease on there. Slide it in there. Get seated, and then click. Yes. 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 Haha. This. Yes, do that. Do that on the plastic pieces. Wire back in. Hose back on. Torque back down. I need air filter, crossbar thing. Well, there you have it. I got the new injector seat in that one thing. I didn't do the other ones. I know a lot of people are like, well, you should do all of them if you're in there. I have the seals. If I see it, I'll fix it. I don't want to open that can of worms unless I absolutely have to. I'm going to take it for a little drive. I'm going to look at it again, make sure that there's not any leaks, anything out of the ordinary. I might have accidentally damaged the engine. I don't know, because I realized after I did this last time I did it, I sprayed the carb cleaner and everything before I took the injector out. This time I did it after, and it seems like I might have gotten a little bit of carb cleaner down into the cylinder, and maybe sort of kind of hydrolocked it a little bit. If you watch the startup video, it stuttered. It kind of got a skip to it, or a gallop, which is not a good thing to do for an engine. Worst case scenario, we just bent a push rod. Best case scenario, nothing happened. Somewhere in the middle, we might have lifted a head gasket or bent a valve, or something weird like that. But after it did it once, it cleared up. So all of the material would have been combustible material, so it should have just fired off and ran. But definitely don't do that. Don't get liquid down into your combustion cylinder, combustion chamber, because it will be bad. So hopefully we didn't do any damage. Doesn't sound like it, but only time will tell. We're gonna go for a drive and see what we can find out. So far so good. Seem to do alright. I smell like diesel fuel, so I can't tell for sure if it's fixed or if it's me. So hand it back over to the wife, see if the smell goes away. Should be good to go. Thank you so much for stopping. Thanks for checking it out. If you liked it, hit the subscribe button. We have been working here on this is my daughter's Jeep. There's a playlist. I'll link it in the corner. That's what we do here. Work on stuff, tinker, sometimes go on adventures. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.